Before we get onto our short presentation, we will first go over our 3D model that will be handed out shortly. This model shows what causes Down syndrome. A mutation in the 21st chromosome, which is in the last row and in the third column, will cause a person to have this condition, and we will go into more depth later on how Down syndrome affects people. We used Tinkercad to create this model, and we urge you to try it out for yourself and discover what you can make. This is our short presentation on birth defects and bullying. There are 4 causes of birth defects. 1 is there is a mutation of one of the genes. 2, there is a change in chromosome structure. 3, there is a change in the number of chromosomes. And 4, teratogens. You have cells in your body, and every cell in your body has chromosomes made up of DNA. A section of DNA is a gene that will tell you how you will look. A birth defect can happen when a section of the DNA of a single gene, in other words, a small piece of the gene, is mutated. These mutations are hereditary and are inherited by their parents. To prevent this type of mutation, you can use donor egg or donor sperm. Changes in the structure of a chromosome are called chromosomal mutations that can most of the time be prevented when the body self-checks itself for mutations and can usually correct them. These changes can result from relocated genes, extra DNA being added to chromosomes, and more. A specific example of this type of mutation is duplication, when a section of the chromosome is copied to produce multiple copies of that section. In this type of mutation, there is an abnormal amount of chromosomes. A change in the number of chromosomes in a person's cells can lead to genetic disorders that are more severe than those dealing with single-cell changes. Examples of these disorders are Down syndrome and Turner syndrome. In Down syndrome, those affected have an extra copy of the 21st chromosome. In Turner syndrome, those affected only have one copy of the X chromosome. This mutation can most of the time be prevented when the body self-checks itself for mutations and corrects them. Teratogens can immensely impact the health of a baby when a woman is pregnant. For example, the more a woman smokes while pregnant, the higher the risk that the baby will have cleft palate and sudden infant death syndrome. Besides drugs, infections can also cause birth defects. For example, they can cause hearing loss and blindness. Lastly, being exposed to radiation while pregnant can also cause birth defects. For example, they can cause the baby to have a small head and a lower intelligence. To prevent this from happening to your child, do not take any type of drugs without a doctor's approval and use shields when getting an X-ray. A birth defect could be the cause for a child to be bullied by their classmates since their classmates do not understand why that child looks different from them and doesn't participate in gym, so they tease that child. There are numerous negative effects of mutations causing birth defects, and we hope that you are not the cause of one of them. Sickle cell anemia causes blood cells to be a crescent shape. In the picture, we can see a normal blood vessel moving blood easily. However, a blood vessel of someone who has sickle cell anemia will not work as well as it can because the crescent-shaped blood cells group together and block the blood vessel. Sickle cell anemia also causes people to have less energy and in severe cases will cause the child to experience pain episodes, decrease of oxygen in the lungs, and strokes. Klinefelter's is a disorder that is caused by a boy having an extra copy of the X chromosome. Normally boys have one X and one Y chromosome, while girls normally have two X chromosomes. However, with this disorder, as you can see in the picture, the boys will have two X chromosomes and one Y chromosome. This disorder may cause the boys to have less facial and body hair, enlarged breast tissue, and a lower muscle mass. The most common way to get Down syndrome is when every cell in a child's body has 3 copies of the 21st chromosome. Instead of having only 2 chromosomes, they will have an extra chromosome added. The child may have a flat face, an upward slant to their eyes, or other defining physical characteristics. This disorder is associated with hearing problems, eye problems, and other health problems. Hemophilia causes the blood to not clot normally since those affected do not have the clotting factor VIII in their blood cells. For example, we could look at the picture. We can see that the child has received a cut, so now the body is going to respond to it. In a normal situation, there would be clotting factor VIII in their blood cells to create a barrier and slow the blood flow. However, a person with hemophilia does not have the clotting factor VIII in their blood cells, so they do not have a barrier to help slow the blood flow down, and overall will bleed more out than a normal person. With the disorder, the child can also experience many large or deep bruises and internal bleeding. HGPS is a birth defect that causes children to age at an extremely fast rate and the children to have shorter lifespans. The disorder will affect the appearance of the child to look older than they really are, but the disorder does not affect their intelligence. Cerebral palsy is caused by an injury to a section of the brain that controls movement when a child is still undergoing brain development. The disorder affects motor skills, the child's ability to speak, and body movement. Cleft palate is when there is a small split or opening in the lip or roof of the mouth. Children have cleft palates due to different causes. Some children have it because of changes in their genes, while it can also be caused by a combination of affected genes and environmental factors, or by certain medications a woman uses while she is pregnant. Spina bifida has no known cause. This disorder will cause a baby's spinal cord to fail to be completely developed. The disorder can cause the child to have restricted movement, muscle weakness, and more. Heart defects are problems with the heart structure that are present at birth. We can see in the picture that a normal heart does not mix not oxygen-filled blood with oxygen-filled blood. However, with some heart defects, the heart will mix these two types of blood because there is a hole in the heart. In a newborn, rapid breathing, a bluish tint to their skin, and fatigue can be signs of a heart defect. Most of the heart defects either need no treatment or are really easily fixed. Autism is a disorder that affects the child's ability to communicate and interact with others. There is a wide range of symptoms for autism. The most common symptoms of autism is a difficulty to communicate, having obsessive interest, and a difficulty to socially interact. Turner syndrome happens when a girl has only one copy of the X chromosome. Normally, females have two X chromosomes. However, with this disorder, one X chromosome is missing or altered. The affected ladies could have heart defects, a short stature, and a lack of going through puberty. In order to prevent bullying, you can become a part of an anti-bully campaign at your school and be a volunteer. If your school doesn't have an anti-bullying campaign, you can create one yourself. Another way to prevent bullying is to create a program to help kids with birth defects all become good friends. This would help boost the children's confidence and discourage bullies who only try to pick on kids who are easy to tease. In order to prevent bullying, change your view on disabled or different children. Instead of avoiding a child since they look or act differently, get to know them and let them educate you on what they have. Although some genetic disorders can be confusing or even alarming, disorders caused by birth defects usually don't affect personality, and a child with a disorder can be just as good a friend as one without. And remember, do not be the cause of bullying. And that is the end of our presentation. We hope you learned a new perspective on birth defects and bullying.